Hello, hello. Hello. Welcome everyone to Blue Span's Dota 2 stream. Hello Blend, hello Vinit, hello Xing Sang, hello Gary, hello One Ho. Yes, late stream. Busy guys. What made these components? Mask of Madness. Hello Nick. Glad you like the shirt, Vinit.
Ooh, you get to ban someone. 5 seconds left. Your pick now.
Wow.
Hey, Meepo.
Okay. True to his name, guys. Thanks, Blend and Vinit.
10 seconds. Remember, the goal is to have fun. Yeah, who am I kidding?
Hello, Rizal. Hello, Johnny. Hey, Johnny. So I booked the ticket to Ho Chi Minh, and I finally got all the documents that the passport office needed. It was a lot of offices. Sorry, a lot of documents. Something that you wouldn't even think of. Anyways, yeah, so the security team, and it doesn't really matter, but I have the ticket, but I may or may not be able to use this ticket. But hopefully I'll know whether I can get on that plane in a day or two. That's all you need to know. Yeah, hopefully by tomorrow. But probably not Saturday or Sunday, I suppose. So Monday, I would think at the latest. Yo, JT, glad you're digging the shirt. I know, I'm a little fancy today, right? Yo, Vol, yeah, we just started. I bought insurance policy on my plane ticket, so you can modify your booking or reschedule or something like that. So I guess that means I can hopefully travel somewhere else with that money if I need to. I hope that's what it means. Otherwise, I mean, I know I can reschedule it for sure. So I can't. I think unless they give me an answer by the end of the day, I can't get a refund for sure. So that money is gone. But whether that can actually use the value of that ticket to rebook to a different location or a different date, yet to be decided. Yeah. I want you to know, Johnny, that I'm trying really hard. Wow, we're very squishy. Hello, admin. Hello, Lai. Hello, Devraj. First pick Ember, full retard Ember Spirit.
My quiver and bow are ready. That was
Late stream, yep. Hello, Farhan.
Look, if you pause for people, people are gonna pause for you. It's just science.
Am I gonna end the same time? Yep. Hello, Skype.
My bow is drawn.
Whatever the fuck happened in the past. Everyone.
I go in silence.
Really boring way to play Dota.
Good enough.
That just implies we played together before.
When it was like,
Yes.
at least one that every 10 games, you get like 4 Spanish speakers on your team. One of them speaks English. I just mute everyone other than that guy. There.
I just muted everyone before.
Even a master.
Now we know he tilts really easily.
From the ghastly Eerie.
30 seconds to battle!
To the ends
I
of the world.
love watching him
And from
skip
this vantage
around
point,
out there.
I declare with utter certainty that this one is in the bag.
I think Storm Spirit should have joined us at the rune.
Forward.
Let the battle begin!
You got it, nice.
This man done.
Keep running.
Onward.
Absolutely perfect.
My sentiments.
I got a really useless skill now, though.
Listen.
Okay.
To battle.
Yeah, hold on a sec. What the fuck? Never mind. That's worded.
Agreed.
I guess I should have expected that they might word it.
So be it. Way ahead of you. No. Very well. So be it.
Just got backed.
That was my thought. Arrow, find your target. Good enough. Death comes silently. Yes. My sentiments as well. Agreed. Into the fray. Feel the bite of frost. Feel my cold embrace. Forward. Way ahead of you. Silent as mist. Battle. Very well. My bow is drawn.
Jesus Christ, this lane is ass.
Invisibility.
I go in silence. Onward. To battle.
I'm backing, dude.
So be it. My sentiments as well. Good enough.
This guy TP'd here. This guy TP'd here.
Not yet. My bow is drawn. That was my thought.
Oh shit.
Can this be?
I've been wanting this.
He's out of region.
Back into the fray.
It ain't over till the last building falls. So fight!
5-minute runs.
Feel the frost.
Sure, could you take this? Wait.
There
Whatever.
Was mine fulfilled.
Onward. I shall nip my enemies.
Fuck, man, I don't know which creep to fucking kill.
I'll cut
Nah, I didn't get any of them.
name on it.
Wah! Wah!
I go in silence. Bite frost.
Fuck!
Fly.
Fuck!
Agreed.
Fucking RNG!
Way ahead of you.
Nice!
Your fate
Absolutely
is
perfect.
sealed.
Seriously, RNG sometimes fuck you guys. There's nothing you can do about it. Not even Miracle, you know?
Put it out of your mind.
What the? I looked away for 1 second. How did I miss that one?
Arrow fly. Bite frost. Your fate is sealed.
My bad. I'm gonna bring a word.
Feel the frost. Feel my cold embrace.
Pyala!
Silent as mist.
Dire structures are
You fucking cunt. Nice stun, bro.
I could have.
Yes.
Careful, dude.
Death comes silently.
Wow.
Deny.
Try.
Forward.
Yeah, go, 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 go.
Catter smart. Oh my god, Macias. Thanks for subscribing, dude.
Silent as mist.
Yeah, eat shit.
1 second by level 4. I have silence.
My bow is drawn. Way ahead of you. Agreed.
Can he beat me? You fucking cunt. Bitch.
Attack.
Someone want bottom?
First battle, but I think
There's we're fucking morph.
Oh shit! I'm dead.
I'm under attack.
Oh my god.
Silence.
I need a ward.
Embrace.
I'm gonna go to the
Yeah,
triangle
come
now.
top, come top, come top, come top.
Don't worry about it, guys. I got this one. So you're racist and arrogant. Oh wow, man. Must have 0 friends. Damn. Must suck not to have friends. Cause you're such a douchebag.
No, we need a carry here.
My sentiments as well.
if we just leave the lane, I think it's deadly.
Yeah, you're allowed to leave the lane.
The thing anymore. To be
One
honest.
ranger can do fire.
Ooh, your bottom tower's kind of bad.
We can kill
10-minute runes?
Bar again.
Feel the bite of frost.
I think we just tried in bottom.
That was my thought. Arrow, fly.
Your middle tower's under attack.
Arrow, find your target.
Ember's coming bottom with haste.
Yes.
Look, the enemy's attacking your middle tower. Don't let him do that.
Arrow.
Killing spree. Double kill.
The price you pay. Quiver.
Why am I wearing a cap inside of my house? Cause I want to.
I shall nip my enemies.
Dominate. The bottom tower is under
Very
attack.
well.
Mega kill. Double kill.
Very well.
Like, for XP.
My bow is drawn. To battle.
What are you breathing?
Cut enough.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Tower is under
Round
attack.
is rage. Good enough.
Will you block my cam, you fuck? Ah!
My sentiments as well.
Hi, Edward.
It's to top, bottom.
Holy shit, he's probably blocking my shit.
Dominate. You better poof on over to your bottom tower.
Okay.
Dig it.
Really,
Defend
no?
that sucker. Your bottom tower is under attack. Your bottom tower just took a dirt nap.
You should buy the tome. What the
You can take the
Your
tomorrow.
mid tower can talk. And if
That's okay, dude.
mad at you.
Not gonna take. Not gonna use ult.
What's this? Yes.
Trying to knock down your middle tower.
That was my thought.
Your middle tower's under attack.
This is hard, man. This game is really hard.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, nice. That's good.
Mega kill!
Your money will be dead.
Good job, guys.
Agreed.
Ramsey Bolton. What a cunt.
Top tower is under attack.
Silent.
On TV?
Watching your top tower? Radiant Fire destruction. Pretty good move, if you ask me.
Dude, we lost this game, didn't we?
Wicked sick! Double kill.
It's level 13, man.
The top tower has been denied. Send him home with nothing.
Bow is strong. So be it.
We have a power spike mid game.
Yes.
I have no frontline this game. Yeah.
I think he probably just warded Oracle. Maybe.
I just bought a sentry.
That was my thought. Tastes so sweet.
Killing spree! Kill!
Good enough.
No one wants to defend mid.
Whoa!
As well.
No, like Oracle was here. I didn't.
I was here. I could not walk around it.
Agreed.
Yeah, we took 5 seconds.
Was not. I was here. I walked like this from warding here and to here, and then you guys were dead.
Was there a ward, Oracle?
My bow is drawn.
I blocked it. It was just a sentry though.
Okay,
Can we actually just kill this guy? We can.
Silent as me.
we could try. You guys wait for me or
Wait
Sky.
for me, please. Yeah.
I'll take that.
Coming, I've guessed. There you go.
Good enough. Agreed.
I'm going back to my triangle. Or am I?
My bow is
No, I don't want. Oh, whoa, what the fuck?
Nice. What the fuck? RNGs.
easy to forward.
Start morphing. Fucking moron.
Your top tower needs some help.
To battle.
So fucking hard.
What the fuck? What the fuck? I didn't think that, you know, I would get the kill. You know how it is, you kill Morphling and he just gets more
For
HP.
some items.
Yeah, so we all thought would happen, but then he died. What the fuck?
I go in silence.
Nah, I don't want to try to kill this guy. Not near that
If only
tower.
the tower could talk, it'd be pretty mad at you. You gonna do something about it or just sit there looking funny?
Yes.
Double kill! Your middle tower is under attack!
What the fuck?
I think that's worth it.
Warned you.
Hell yeah!
Speak with rangers.
Oh, the question marks are
I was
back.
there for the XP though.
I shall meet my enemies.
I'm grabbing a vessel this game.
My sentiments as well.
Ignore the ping.
Very well.
This game on draw.
Stand and deliver. So be it.
Oh, he got my silence.
That was my thought.
Dominating!
Should I be joining these guys? I
Dude, that shit
wonder.
lasts so long, dude.
Double kill.
Just told you.
Oh man.
Trying to lock down your
Fuck! Stop!
Fucking remnant people.
Feel the frost.
What?
Silent.
Your middle tower is under attack. And over here we have
Hey,
your
just a
middle
little
tower.
bottom.
Not being there no
We
more.
play around
Every
top.
little bit counts.
Your middle tower's under attack.
Fight, frost.
Jesus Christ. Oh my god, dude.
My
Hello, Alex.
sentiments as well.
Looking for me? Over here now. Sit up. I'm over here.
Oh yeah, baby.
Nice, nice.
Double kill.
Yes. Arrow.
Chasing after him like that. You started here.
Oh,
He's
they
like,
smoke.
It's smoke, it's smoke.
Oh shit.
Your top tower is under attack. Rally the troops and get over there. Your tower's under attack. Dominate. Killing spree.
My bad, my bad. Didn't know the Rubik had ball lightning. Well, let's get this and then this and then this or some shit like that. We gotta surprise the Ember Spirit with the gust.
Storm force.
it's more than double my.
Ooh.
Storm was coming.
I'll just retrieve my arrows. Quiver.
Glad you like the shirt, Frost Dragon. And remember, if you ever give any spoilers ever again, I'm gonna ban the shit out of you.
Good enough.
Nice to see you again.
Onward. Your money or you're dead. So be it.
Oh, hello, Clarence.
Arrow. Find your target.
Is this warded? I'm fucking scared.
Oh, nice.
That was my thought.
Mega kill. Unstoppable.
You're dead, Ember Spirit!
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Oh yeah!
Pulls from that, and it was like a share between like three
Rubik
people.
has link.
Attack. Death comes silently.
Dire's putting up a barricade.
I'll take that.
Ooh, your bottom tower, it's
Onward.
kind of bad.
Anybody want bottom?
Butterfly.
I'm going, but if you want,
Tower has been
Yes.
denied. Get out of here with that garbage.
That was my thought.
We should have taken Roshan or something during this time, eh?
Silent as mist.
We can wait for Ember to show, then we smoke.
I'll cut a notch with your name on it.
No ult here on Lich. We can
My sentiments as
can
well.
perhaps do something.
I go in silence.
Push bot. You can bet me.
Yeah, we stay behind you.
Very well. tastes so sweet.
Oh shit, they might be coming after me. Maybe, just maybe.
They're all mid. They're all mid. It's fine.
Do we really want that tower?
Agreed.
I mean, if they're all mid,
If your mid tower could talk, it'd be pretty mad at you.
Into the fray.
careful, careful. Oh my god.
If your mid tower could talk,
This shit to myself. I don't know how the fuck.
Where's Oracle? Where's Oracle on the map? I don't see Oracle's icon. Well, he's
My
dead.
bow is strong.
That's why.
enemy bottom tower.
I'm coming. Did you use Yules yet?
No, 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 no.
Oh wow.
Feel my cold embrace. Deep as forest
That's
shade.
a good trade.
That was my thought.
Fucking warded here.
Arrow fly. Feel the vital force.
Yeah, I should have used that salve. I should have, for sure.
Your middle tower's under attack. Oh, there better be something important going on.
This game.
They're coming for you.
Down I've gotten in like a month.
Leave.
Woo! Fucking deleted.
He's dead. Okay, fine.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Oh,
Big
nice.
dick win.
They're trying to knock down your middle tower.
%50 physical damage received, 49% magical? That doesn't even make any sense.
That was just a warm up. Very well.
Not for myself, but for the cause.
Where's the other 1%?
Attack.
1% true damage. But who does true damage?
Unstoppable! You better pop on
Oops.
over to your bottom tower.
Into the fray. I go in silence. Quiver. Death comes silently. I'll cut a knot with your name on it.
Nice.
How this morphling is throwing.
So be it. Silent as mist.
Can get this?
Pike is really good here.
Onward.
Yeah, I can come.
Way ahead of you.
We can smoke first
Okay.
Just don't show it.
Forward.
for that battle.
Hey,
Drop.
look at you!
What are we doing?
That bottom
Yes.
tower.
He's still working towards a VK.
Watch out for the
My
fairy.
bow is drawn.
If we can get a pick off on their carries, we can go for Roche.
My
Got a
sentiment.
smoke on the way.
I think they're smoking. I think they're smoking.
Morphling bottom, so it's just three of them.
Wait, let me get my
Fire
pick.
and slower set.
Feel the bite of frost. Agreed. Forward.
Can I get this? More from the bottom.
Yes.
You might have a TP, but I have vessel.
To battle.
Dire structures are
Agreed.
fortified.
I've got ulti and go.
Hey, ward here.
Hey, Storm is leaving us.
Keyword in the last word.
Wait, let's see what happens with Storm bottom. Here's Lincoln's, by the way.
I'm over here.
Okay.
Oh, what the fuck? This guy doesn't know how to play.
Tower is under attack.
Alright, nice.
In 30-minute runes are almost up.
Tower's gone.
Going? If they come defend, we go rush, okay? Can we go rush now, actually?
Yeah, let's go Roshan.
Yeah.
I go in silence.
Saw him.
Silent.
Yo, this is 9-second silence!
Your fate.
Oh, Jesus. His remnant is up there, isn't it?
It's here.
Okay. We can still Roshan. We can still Roshan.
Yeah,
We can still
let's
Roshan.
go rush.
Way ahead of you. I shall nip my enemies.
Touché.
Storm, do you want it? Hey, I'm gonna take it. Storm, take the regen. Okay.
Never mind.
Well, he doesn't have bottle, I suppose.
Dude, this guy's tilted as shit, man.
Dude, if I did that much shit,
Like cold and
and then my fucking Morphling just couldn't keep it up, like I'd be so triggered.
He went ethereal first. Such a stupid move.
Because of it. He's just he's just getting picked off.
Let's go mid. It's fine. Get out. We'll push you mid.
They might be serious about this end. Rubik just ran into me and Slaughter didn't give a shit.
attack.
Could be a coincidence.
Oops.
Okay, they give a shit.
Yeah, well, I don't get why my. Just let Storm do his thing, man. Just we do our thing. He has a gem. There's a gem.
Agreed. Feel my
The
cold.
enemy's middle
Almost
tower
complete.
has fallen. How many of those things are there?
Feel the bite of frost.
Dude, I win like almost every game with Rail, huh?
Watch out for the shackle. Okay, whatever.
Oh, I know I should respect the dead. But first, you have to earn it.
Sup, hockey?
Times die, they can always
Oh my god, that's an actual thing?
go up.
That sounds Chinese as fuck.
Heads up, we're back.
What level do you have to be to play, let's play some Dota?
Enemy's middle
I'm not sure actually.
It's on them. I didn't play any Dota in this game. Got one shot.
Yep. We just speed.
The enemy's middle barracks are
Nice
just
games.
sweet memory. The enemy's middle barracks has fallen.
Are we pushing still?
That was my thought.
No, why not? What? Nice. I'm coming.
That's
Well, you know what?
It was.
I don't know,
it was,
man.
It was 4-3, man.
My bow is strong.
And once I'm up, I'll get some wards down there, and then we can smoke into them.
Hey!
What the fuck, man? It won't let me end.
My badge, the nest of thorns.
One die. A little bit.
Killing spree!
How do I like the new terrain? I like how it
We can
looks.
fight.
I don't like that I had to give up like 30 to 40 frames per second to
So
use it.
slow, man. Yes, BKB, yes, BKB.
Mine is fallen. No more sanctuary here.
Last hits get fucked.
Yeah, Oracle, just try to dispel the Syrian chain, and you should be fine.
The Aether Lens, because I'm having serious casting problems.
Me too.
Oh,
Aether Lens now. Before I get rid of these arcane boots forever. Use it.
Whatever. Trial is up, so our team just became 10 times stronger.
Very well.
let's play some Dota. Let's play some Dota.
Silent as mist.
Comes with smoke behind her.
No, I'm
Do
not.
the siege.
I shall
That's so
meet my
fast.
enemies.
Comes with smoke behind her.
Wait, what the fuck is that?
Where am I? Oh, I'm rooted.
A silencer?
Cut a knot with
What the fuck was that?
Hey, make sure I don't get E-bladed, okay, Oracle?
This guy wants my dick.
onward.
The enemy's bottom tower has fallen.
No, you blade.
A little bit too far.
That's how you get rid of this, man.
Enemy's bottom tower is just gonna die.
Aaron, find your target.
Fucking hell.
Dominate!
My bow is strong.
Oh, nice.
The enemy's bottom barracks is fallen.
Secrets of bullseye.
Let's play some Dota.
So be it.
Cannot believe we came back from that shit.
Well, like I said, you know, we have a power spike in the game.
The gem.
Enemy's middle tower is no more.
The flat.
His structures are fortified.
You ain't good.
Mega kill!
My sentiments as well.
This guy went for some serious solo kills, man.
I have BKB.
Tower just cut the dust.
You got me. I'm hitting the throne.
Is sealed.
Just hit the throne. You too, Oracle. You can hit the throne too. Dun 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 dun. Vote Drow. I'm gonna vote Oracle since he supported me. Yep, Drow Ranger games. Actually, it's just kind of boring, guys. Not gonna lie. See you later, Nick. Yeah, Drow Ranger. You hit level 6, you go into the triangle for 30 minutes, and then you win the game. What can I say? I think I haven't lost with Drow in a while. Like 6-7 win streak or something like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. See? Easy, man. She's so easy now. Hello, homie. Let's claim some rewards. Nah, Spectre's win rate's too shit. Seasonal banner effect? Fuck's a banner? What is a banner in Dota 2? Tipping upgrade. 50 battle points per tip given. It's a flag? Flag for what? You can put down a banner. I can make a personal banner? Do you guys realize that how much I don't know about Dota 2? What is Echo Salami? Hi, genius. Oh, we got a new game, guys. New game. Shaman has a taunt now? Oh, fuck. I want to see it. Schneck.
Hey, we'll hold them down.
Schneck.
You knock them out.
I like that. Oh my god, it's the same guy. Oh, I know. I think I had this guy muted. You're not wrong. Yo, Matt. Schneck. Danger noodle. Nope rope. What do I play?
Your pick. Hey, this is where you win or lose.
Oh man.
Ten seconds.
Yo, brow, let melee, please. I'll pick DS.
Okay, your pick now. You know what to do.
Come on, Ricky. Because this is how you get Ricky. Johnny, what are you talking about? Pick carry, what the fuck?
Your pick now. Meepo.
Try to pick Ricky?
What? Huh?
And that's how you get Ricky.
Your pick. This is where you win or lose.
Hey Rubik, how about you 5? Okay, then I will 5. If you cannot, you fucking bitch. See why I told you guys I had this guy pre-muted? Actually, I didn't have him pre-muted, but I had him muted at one point. Thank you for your hard work and sacrifice. Kids these days, man. NP. See? I had him pre-muted. Now you know why. English only, thanks. And also Indonesian boy, if you say stupid shit, I'm gonna ban you. Thanks. Yeah, Ricky in front!
Since you put it like that. Whom shall I kill?
What the? Well, the banner!
It is in
Oh, I thought he put down the ward now for a second.
quietly now. See no evil.
Is no one gonna give Ricky the wards?
Boy,
Jesus Christ.
Friends, I seem to agree that this one is your service. Oh, look, it's me.
I'm no techno wizard or nothing, but I think that player just disconnected. 30 seconds to showtime!
Even a master falters.
Gop? Oh shit, we got a racist.
I'm all for a little downtime. You feeling
You want me to put down your ward?
I go in
You want me to put down your ward? Holmes? Where do you want it?
Oh, yes.
You want it in Fountain? Okay.
As you bid.
Where's the ion shell, homie?
I sprint.
I always wanted to see an ancient fall. Yes! Don't make me come over there.
First blood in flames.
Like a whisper.
Yeah, I'm gonna block, I think.
Quiet as cat's feet.
Wait, who got first blood? Oh.
Three, two, one, let's go!
Post haste. Silent as smoke. Yes. Here I am. Times are hard. Quickly, quickly. Quickly.
What are you doing?
Oh, as you bid.
Don't worry about it. I got this.
The veil, what you see gets you. Quiet as cat's feet. Like a whisper.
Ricky's so fucking annoying.
See no evil. I sprint. Yes.
Welcome back to the war. Is it everything you remember?
Yes.
Oh my god, Ricky is so fun. Oh shit. They're coming back for him.
Defend yourself.
I hit the kill switch.
Faster and stronger. I see you. At your service.
Fuck. Oh man. Oh fuck. Oh fuck.
That last hit didn't go so well.
I'm gonna wait for enough money for my.
Since you put it like
Actually,
that.
yeah, let's go like this. Ember, do you think Monkey King has sentry mid?
Silent as smoke.
Yeah, you know, I shouldn't have dived for that disruptor, to be quite honest with you.
Dispatched. Here I am.
Here I am.
Quietly now.
Rune of double damage.
Post haste. Whom shall I
Yeah, sentry.
Oh, look at me. Quickly. Quickly, quickly. I go in silence. Quickly, quickly. Stealth makes wealth. As you bid.
Oh fuck. I'll grab bottom runes.
Death's bounty.
That should help.
Quiet as cat's feet.
James.
Quickly. Yes.
Ember strength. Now rekindled.
Yes. At your service. Since you put it like that. as you bid. Oh, yes. Oh, look at me.
Killing spree!
Oops. That was not good.
My skill set is narrow, but very sharp.
Oh, it's 430 gold now.
I kill.
Fuck, man.
Silent as smoke.
Your bottom tower is under attack.
I don't have cloud, by the way.
Oh, how I strike. Like a
Oh!
person's never
What?
die.
The creep killed
They
me.
just fade away. Seeing is believing.
Your bottom tower is under
Quietly now.
attack. Daesh putting up a barricade. Best thing about the enemy's top tower is it's gone.
Here I am. I sprint. See no evil.
Middle lane is missing.
I go in silence. Since you put it like that. See no
What a surprise.
evil. Silent as smoke. Yes. Smoke
Ricky, motherfucker!
This isn't the end.
That can't be a bitch.
Oh, as you bid.
Searing heat.
Hmm.
Ember strength.
Like a
Now
whisper.
rekindled.
Oof. Oof.
I am.
Oof.
Post haste.
Dominate!
Like a whisper. Faster and stronger.
Backwash.
Quickly. 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 Quiet as cat's feet. Quietly now. Dispatch.
Hey Lulu, what did that guy come back to say? Just more Bahasa bullshit? I take it. Okay. We told you the first time, you dumbass. And the second time. Listening is so damn hard, right?
I sprint.
Being snared in
Killing spree!
Thing.
Oh, yes. Here I am. Feel my steel. Oh, look, it's me. See no evil. Oh, yes.
There's no one top.
Quietly now. As you bid.
Your top tower is under attack. Dominate!
At your service.
Your top tower needs some help. What, not your job or something?
Quiet as cat's feet.
Fuck, I missed it.
Are you even watching your top tower?
Rune of double damage.
Yes. Steeled and tempered. I grow stronger.
Radiant calling the fortification.
Like that.
Double kill.
Quickly, quickly.
Space. Ooh! It's always funny watching neutral creeps kill people.
Quickly.
I could.
Oh, as you bid.
The enemy's middle tower has fallen. I couldn't have done it better myself. Well,
Go
probably.
in silence.
Please.
Five bottom. Hey Chris, you're very welcome, man.
Let me take another stab at this.
Get up, get up, get out there.
Since you put it like that.
Oh, there's sentry's bid.
Whom shall I kill?
Unstoppable!
As you bid.
Radiant structures are fortified.
15-minute runes. I'll try to grab the top ones.
Like a whisper. Yes. Oh, look, it's me. Death's bounty. Silence as smoke.
Oh, David.
At your service. Oh, yes. The veil is strong. Yes. I'm It's not time yet.
Wicked sick! Unstoppable!
Nice. Very nice.
Quickly, quickly. Oh, you what? See no evil. Expect to see less of me. Quietly now.
Radiant structures are fortified. Dire structures are fortified. Top tower is under attack.
Silent, like smoke. I sprint.
Ooh, your bottom tower is kind of bad. Your bottom tower has fallen. Covered. That's
Oh man, this is great. I love Ricky.
I strike.
I love Ricky.
I am.
You better pull on over to your bottom tower.
What the fuck?
Enemy's middle tower just bit the dust.
Dun, 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 dun.
Quiet as cat's feet. Quietly now. See no evil. Didn't see that coming, did you? Dispatched. Oh, now it's on. Even stealthier. Liquidated.
I should ask Rubik if he's happy playing 5 now. Are you implying that he is happy? That I'm doing well? I don't know if I'm ready to make those kind of assumptions.
Service.
Even a monster falters.
Your life, much like your head, lacked a point. Quickly. Whom shall I kill? Quickly, quickly. Haste.
Oh my wand! Motherfucker! Oh, wrong hotkey, dude! Oh, shit.
Become peace.
I wasn't stunned, I was chained. You can still use wandering chains, but I had it on the wrong hotkey, and I thought I had it on the right hotkey, but I didn't.
Tower has fallen.
Get back, get back, get back, get back, get back.
Oh, look, it's me. As you bid.
That hurt me a bit.
Oh, as you bid. My cunning grows.
Ricky!
Mine now. Yes.
20-minute runes. I'll grab the top ones. Okay.
Since you put it like that, see here.
Excellent idea.
Yes. Yes.
Look at this fucker right here. Let's die.
Even a monster
He just warded.
things.
Some kind of ward.
As you bid.
What the fuck?
Dispatched.
what to do for this guy, man. Just Terrorblade.
Your middle tower's under attack.
You can run, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Not yet.
Dire structures are fortified.
Yes. I'm not ready.
He's dead. I don't think I can save him.
Whom shall I kill? See no evil. Quiet as cat's feet. Quickly.
Oh, I don't have any slots left.
Silent as smoke.
Oh, sick.
Comforting rune of regeneration.
Since you put it like that.
Hold on, man. I gotta get my one tango. There you go.
Oh, as you
Okay.
did. Like a whisper. Quietly now. Not yet.
Don't we want to take Roshan?
Taste.
I think Roshan first is more is a better plan.
Quiet as cat's feet. Coin for me. Post haste. As you bid. Yes. Yes.
Roshan has fallen to the dire.
Oh, as you bid.
Oh, I need TP scroll.
Don't let him do that.
Whom shall I kill?
No, don't push. We don't have Metamorphosis and TB has no mana. Back.
Quietly now.
Bum, 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 bum.
Oh, look, it's me. I fight.
What's this monkey king doing? He's been there for a while, huh?
Since you put it like that. Yes. Here I am. Dispatched. Silent as smoke. Like a whisper. I go in silence. Like a whisper. Quickly.
Okay.
At your service. Quickly. I sprint. See no evil. As you bid.
Your top tower is under attack. Enemy's middle tower
Maybe I didn't need to risk my life there. Oh well. Yeah, I'll probably just stay back and take it easy or something. Get back. Yeah, probably don't need to die here. Holy shit! Oh my god! Oh no, he's dead. Wah wah. What the fuck, man?
My skill set is narrow, but very sharp.
There's music from TI9? How did you know?
I go in silence.
Is that a giant box of bacon? Yes.
Oh yes. Whom shall I kill? Smoke in your eyes. Dispatch. Quickly, quickly.
Your bottom tower is under attack.
Oh baby! Oh baby!
You better flip on over to your bottom tower.
Oh, we're just gonna straight up end it, eh? Nice. Can I fucking use my ult? Oh my god, there's half second left on my ultimate. Jesus. I'm like spamming the fuck out of my R button. I was like, I thought I had it up, but actually I just didn't even have it. Oops. Well, this game will bring me to, oh, I'm already 5.7, right? So 5739 or something like that. Nice!
Enemy's middle tower has fallen.
Ricky! Yeah, I'm gonna be playing one more game, so no matter what happens in this next game, still Green Day. Awesome. Yeah, if you need some strategies on Johnny's suggestion, ask Johnny. Wait, I need a vote for MVP. Oops. GG guys. English only, please, thanks. Hmm. Hi, 739. Oh yeah. 25. Okay, I play one more game, guys. Which hero has this ability? Hey guys, look, look! Which hero has this ability? I wonder. Oh, it's Shadow Fiend? Oh. Which hero has this rocket ability? It's got to be Slark. Oh no! Incorrect! Oh no! Oh man, I'm bad at this game. What is the base movement speed of puck? Oh, well, that's an easy way to figure it out.
Pride.
Yeah, there you go. 290, guys. Quick, quick! 290! There you go. It's easy when you just can look it up. Oh yeah, I'm so smart. SMRT. We got a game. Alright. Last game of the day. And then I'm out of here, folks. Tomorrow will be a longer stream. That will start on time. Hopefully. Approximately.
And their best hero. Wait, ain't that kind of cheap? Yeah, and effective. 5 seconds left. Your pick now. Meepo. What? Huh?
Burn. 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 Nia! Oh, I have this guy pre-muted. Who's this guy? Who's this weeb? Nir-kun? Patience? Oh, I vaguely remember him. He is not patient at all.
Okay, your pick now. You know what to do.
Looks like I have to play some kind of support.
10 seconds. 5 seconds left.
We have a new taunt,
The goal is
so we play Shadow Shaman.
Yeah, who am I kidding?
I believe the only difference between these two items is that is red for 753 Canadian dollars, approximately 600 US dollars. Fuck that. Hey, nobody got money for that shit. Green is better. I agree.
Your pick now. Meepo. What? Huh? Your pick. This is where you win or lose.
Pick juice. Thanks, Lulu. Okay, that works.
medium between the worlds. I go.
Prepare for battle!
This one is in the bag.
Ugh.
I hear and obey.
You know, the one Shackles is really underwhelming.
Change direction. I accept your guidance.
Three, two, one, let's go!
I wonder if there's a way to turn up ambient sounds. That would be great. Really like the jungle sounds.
I'm all for a little downtime. You feeling fresh?
Does it please you? The spirit moves me. Of course.
Dude, your high five's on cooldown, you motherfucker.
30 seconds to battle. But feel free to start killing.
It's on cooldown, man.
We're not stickers.
I hear. I accept.
You guys should just go. Oh, the yes is right there.
Granted.
When the horn blows, the blood flows.
The shades.
Easiest fucking roll of my life.
Hit the pango, hit the pango, hit the pango. Man, you hit hard.
You are heard.
I'm under attack!
Stopped already.
The bones are thrown. Ah, motto atticano. Attack!
Yes, I just did that.
I hear and obey.
First blood!
Guide me. Yes,
Clown didn't get Fade Vault level 1.
you are heard. I go.
What the fuck's your problem, man?
Does it please you?
Better luck next time.
Go. I hear.
I'm gonna pull from this side.
Guidance.
The hell you will.
So say the spirit.
Oh yeah, easy regen in lane.
The spirit moves me. My prayers are answered.
Yep, bots one.
As you
Top
wish.
one too.
Nice.
Spectre doesn't die here. Oh, no, they can't kill it.
I
I actually wish I die. I have no regen. Pretty low. I don't know.
A poultry sum. Granted. You are heard. The spirit moves me. I fight. Yes.
Come on, come on! You stupid fucks!
Yes. Granted. Shades, guide me.
He used his fade bolt already. Just dagger him, dagger him.
I hear.
I don't mean that.
As it pleases.
Oh shit.
So say the spirits. As the shades direct.
Yo, Lagger. How you doing, bud?
For the ancestors.
Oh man, you missed that shit.
War over the hills. I go. I accept your guidance. I accept. Strength born anew.
Thing from base, drop your shit.
Yeah.
I hear and obey. As you wish.
Thanks.
Shades, guide me. Granted.
Dagger Pango right now. He's dead, he's dead.
Yes,
Why is he chasing me around?
of course.
No, 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 no,
That
no!
would be the strong.
Yeah, I think they're just playing dead.
Yeah.
Like a drum.
No, high ground, word up mid.
User try, motherfucker.
You are heard.
Whatever.
As it please you.
Really bad minimap? Why is this a bad minimap?
Go shrine.
Yeah.
The spirit moves me. I go.
I have fairy fire still.
Attack.
Oh, the fairy fire!
Bottom, wait, stay bottom. Go on this guy, go on this guy.
Oh no, that rotation was so
Keep
good.
following, following.
Yeah,
Let me hit him, let me hit him.
maybe you need to use quelling.
He's not gonna have flash buckle.
Okay. I'm gonna grab it. Fine.
You went up, you
Oh,
went up,
fuck.
you went up.
Yeah.
I think he TP'd out.
Yeah.
I hear.
Okay, he TP'd out. I think I'm gonna TP bottom right now.
I hear and obey.
Keeping bottom.
I accept your guidance. As
We have
the
to go
shades
for Rubik
direct.
if we do anything. We're not killing the next thing.
I accept. I hear.
Tinker died.
How'd you like the game?
Get you your 6 and then kill people.
Guide me.
Yes is walking mid right now. Do you have a rupture on the 30 seconds?
Granted. I hear and obey.
Killing spree! Daesh putting up a
You have 6 hit on Doom. Doom's like 1 creep away from 6 or 2 creep.
As you wish.
The TP bottom.
You are heard.
Invisor on top.
As the shade
Rupture's quite expensive to casting.
Yes. As it please you.
Rubik is invis top, careful. Or no, wait, the Tinker has the rune. Careful.
He's oh my god.
The spirit moves me.
If your mid tower could talk, it'd
This
be
Bloodseeker needs some mana. Maybe you should give him the mango.
rally the troops and get over there!
It's okay, Spectre. They won't take the tower.
I accept your guidance.
You even
I get one TP top, we can kill Bango.
radiant structures up.
Can we smoke with the Doom?
The top tower needs some help.
Fine, let's do it. Get the sleep off, we can get in a good Doom position. But we gotta be careful. Here he is, here he is, here. Keep on him, his rage is gonna wear off. Oh my god. Kill this guy.
Okay, you get a stack,
So annoying.
Surprise, motherfucker! We're all still here.
Take the stack too.
I'm gonna TP. Bloodseeker, can you give me blood rage? Thanks.
Check runes right now.
As the shade direct.
Mid.
Just a fear. Double damage.
I need to buy this mana boot.
I hear.
Doom for like a minute.
The spirit moves me.
I don't have 6 yet either. This guy's alone, but we on.
As the shades direct. I hear.
Bloodseeker's coming. Bloodseeker's coming.
You are heard.
We got in this creep. We got in that creep right there. Right there, Rupture's S. Yeah. Take it there. Okay, mid dies, but we got the Bloodseeker.
Good.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Okay, stop. We got both.
I have grip.
Tower could talk, it'd be pretty mad at you.
Keep being top right now. Don't scare him.
Guys, this is a mini-map option.
Bango's here, we can't
Wait,
kill him.
I have 10 seconds. They have vision of you.
Yeah.
Ult the Pango maybe?
Sure. Big fucking eggs. What the fuck?
We got Tinker, we got Tinker.
That. Kill the Pango, kill the Pango, Pango.
Get the Pango, go to the Pango.
Double kill.
You're blocking yourself. That's not, he's like...
We have Doom.
Mod, thanks for subscribing.
The enemy's top tower has fallen. They're trying to knock down your middle tower. Your middle tower's under attack.
Gonna keep moving.
Man, he needs to work with us.
Spectre
God.
ulti, Spectre ulti, Spectre ult. Spectre ult.
Look, the enemy's attacking your middle tower.
What the fuck, man? What the fuck are all these ults, dude? Just not even good usage.
Your middle tower is under attack. You and a couple of friends could probably stop that. Does it please you? The spirit moves me.
Pango's over here.
If your
Yeah, just get out of the jungle, guys. I have no ultimate. I have no ultimates at all.
Wanna fight this?
As you wish.
Getting out.
Yeah, this is really bad.
Your top tower is under attack.
Let me farm.
Oh, there better be something important going on. Your top tower is under attack.
What?
Twice as foul.
What are you trying to say? Man, you guys are real ladies men, eh? Just real ladies men.
I fight.
He's trying to say you're old, eh? What a fucking rude shit. What the fuck?
Your top tower needs some help.
Did he just give you his stout shield?
Yep.
So say the spirits. Of course.
Rip.
Just one ultimate, okay?
I hear.
I think he saw us coming.
Granted. You are heard. I hear and obey. I accept. You are heard. I go. They're trying to knock down your middle tower. Granted. Yes.
Poor Tom.
Attack.
Bunch of ult.
Oh! The spirit moves me. Top tower is under attack. Dire's structures are fortified. Your top tower needs some help. I accept. Your top tower has fallen. So say the spirit. I hear and obey. Your top tower is dominating.
Sailor was over there. Got him, we got him.
Unstoppable!
Do we have damage for Roshan?
No, I don't think so.
Took me there.
We'll take it down. It's not worth it.
Enemy's middle tower is
I don't think we have the capability.
Okay. Okay. Let's just stop fighting for a bit.
Still have Doom. We still have Doom.
Yeah, if you want to Doom, just like Doom the life stealer. Otherwise.
Go, go, Doom him, Doom him.
killing spree! Oh, man! Your middle tower's under attack. You gonna do something about it or just sit there looking funny? Yes. Your middle tower is under attack. Dire's structures are fortified. Try to knock down your middle tower. Your middle tower has fallen. If your mid tower could talk, it'd be pretty mad at you. Your middle tower's under attack.
I accept your guidance.
Your middle tower's under attack.
The spirit moves me.
Anyone? Plus one?
Yeah, I'm TPing in as well. I mean, I have grip.
Nice.
Stop it.
Hey, runes. I'll walk over, try to grab this one.
If they're all missing, I'm not gonna go for the top one.
Let's see, dude. No,
Yeah,
life steal
today's
probably
game is
got it.
really easy. One of them's gone.
Bottom.
I go. So say the spirits. Of course. As the change direct.
Grip.
You are heard.
What kind of ward is this? Hey, I don't understand this observer ward being.
Someone just TP'd. Someone just TP'd.
An accident.
Stinker.
Oh, okay. Yo, man.
Okay.
Now can we do Roshan?
I accept your guidance.
I'm trying.
Shades, guide me.
Let's secret it.
Give it to Bloodseeker. I'm not gonna.
Sound effect for runes? Sure, Haku. We could do that. You just send it to me in a Discord message, right? With your with the sound effect you want. I can probably add it.
I think I'll just rush back for honest. I really just need to get on top of the Tinker.
Shades, guide me.
Ward it here. Oh, there it is. Okay. Oh no, they thought before.
Your bottom tower is under attack.
I'm gonna go bottom, guys. Let's just like split the map. We need to group up yet. We need.
Your bottom tower is under attack.
Yeah, that's right.
I hear and obey. I fight. Strike.
Why would I pull up and left?
Did I get defusal or basher gun? What?
I think Basher is better.
Have a...
Okay.
Whatever. Going. Not going anywhere.
As you wish.
Still up here, but...
I hear. Ah, feel the spirit moves me. So say the spirits.
Does he have bots as well? BT2?
I don't think so. He's really poor.
Blink dagger. Yes. How does it please you? Of course. Shades, guide me.
Melty.
Radiant called in the fortification. Dire structures are fortified.
As the shades direct.
Still there. Aiden. Go mid after this. Okay.
I hear and obey.
Spec, can you rotate top after this so Pango doesn't...
Tower's falling.
You are
And our bottom maybe too. I think bottom's probably better than top.
Alright.
You better puff on over to your bottom tower.
I accept. As you wish.
Up Aegis.
This guy only knows to do. Hey, this is the catapult wave. Maybe we just haunt on top of Tinker. Like Spectre, I think maybe you can haunt on top of Tinker.
Like.
I think we do it.
Get Doom. Tinker here, Tinker.
Yeah, I'm stuck in my own, I got knocked into my own wards.
Wow. Okay. Hold on. Let me aggro the creeper below. Oh, okay.
High ground, go high ground.
Man, I really need to buy some.
Wow. Enemy's middle tower just hit the dust. The enemy's middle barracks are just a sweet memory. The top tower is under attack. The enemy's middle barracks has fallen.
Exactly, so sad.
Hey, we can end end or bottom, one of those.
Let's just go. Like
Bottom's
it's
probably
actually
safer.
hard to- because like, look, they're spawned so quickly.
Oh man, I could have hexed, but I was typing it.
Hey, look at you! Knocking down that bottom tower!
I'm inside the racks, huh?
The enemy's bottom barracks is falling.
Wanna go top? Maybe they will let us end it. Maybe.
I don't
Maybe
trust
not.
those people.
I don't trust them either.
Bit of murder.
Ooh, what a dude! I did win every single game today.
Wave goodbye to the enemy. Figures killing spree. Just a type of a loot.
Man, this game wasn't even close.
The enemy's middle tower has fallen. Enemy's middle tower is no more.
Hi, God.
Yeah, this is awful. Like, he's an awful hero at the moment.
GG, guys. Yep. Maybe we're rank 1600, 1500 or something like that now. Vote Shadow Shaman. Mark, who do I vote? Good job, Bean. My God, what a pleasant day of Dota 2. Alright, does anybody have any questions or comments before I go? That was my last game. Tomorrow I'll be back and we'll try to do like, you know, 5, 6, 7 hour stream or something like that. Thank you, Riza. Unlike nerds in the chat sometimes, it's perfectly fine for Tina to demand attention. You've got quite the soft spot for dogs. And I agree with you. Lifestealer can't do shit. I think, let's see. I think that, I don't think the draft is too bad. Actually, they outdrafted us according to Dota Plus, but we outplayed them. But I think their draft takes more skill to execute, because like they need to do like a Pangolier or a Spirit Bomb with Lifestealer. Tinker can't get caught out by Spectre. Like they have a lot of win conditions, whereas like ours is quite a lot more simple. Would you like to make a donation for your demand? ASD DSA. And for the record, I don't have an opinion on which minimap is better, but I'm using this one right now. And that's it. Alright, where are we? Tell me how to get height MMR when you always get shit team. Just first pick carry or what? Hey Muhammad? Remember that you are just as good as your teammates are. Okay. First of all, you have to understand that. So then you can begin to improve yourself. So, I mean, if you're playing with the same, let's say that you're 2K, right, and you play with the same pool of players, yeah, you play 10 games, maybe you're unlucky, and you get 7 or 8 games with tons of feeders on your team, you know, they run down mid, they don't ward, they feed courier, whatever, man. Just remember this, when you play 100 games, that's all you. You cannot blame anyone else except for yourself when you play 100 games, right? Anyways, if you want some tips on how to play better, you should watch your replays. Voted for support. Wait, who voted on what? You voted on support? Support what? Supporting who? Glad you like the game today, Devraj. You just got here. Wah wah. See you later, Praneet. What position do I play mostly? I play everything. Hello, try to keep it in English. See you later, Hilmi. Yeah, that's sounds like a balanced relationship. Can't use 100. You can't use sound commands. Well, do you have? Okay, well, can you prove to us that you have more than 100 hours? Type in exclamation mark points, please. Well, this Bane commended me. All right, Bane, where are you? There you go. No. Give him Blue University. Yeah, I always forget, you know. Please spam chat wheels Seb. Nah, I'm not. I don't think it's that funny. How to win with not sup or ward. How do you win without having any support or wards? Why don't you buy yourself, man? 75 gold, or is it 70 gold? It's okay. Remember this: if you think that all your teammates don't know how to play support or don't know how to ward, you know what that means? It means the enemy also do not know how to support or buy his wards, right? It all balances out in the end, man. Buy the wards yourself. I buy wards all the time, man, even as a carry. Oh my god, some people, man. Ah, I see what you're saying, Snail Poop. In your divine games, there are many boosted users that hurt. Yes, I actually remember what you said the other day. You're like, you told me to trade with the Rubik with Liquid Fire, even though he has Fade Volt. I remember that, man. Hello, Casey. It doesn't count the hours before 6 months or so. Nope, it does, man. No, I've been using this bot that counts people's hours for at least a year. Very, very close to a year. Maybe even a year and a half. So, don't think so, man. Have I had a chance to listen to the Last of Us soundtrack for the stream? No, I haven't. Is it exciting? Because actually, I've played halfway through it. It's mostly like kind of like scary, atmospheric music, isn't it? I mean, I'll give it a chance, but that's not the kind of music I'm looking for, if that's what the music is. Yeah, I never finished it on my PlayStation. Hey man, when are you gonna grow up, Risky? Come on. Can you grow up, dude? You're not listening to me. You keep blaming your team, but you don't blame yourself, man. Why don't you blame yourself? You're part of the shit. Jesus Christ. This guy blames everyone except for himself. Anyways, regardless if you play in Southeast Asia or Europe or North America, man, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Honestly, it's all the same. And don't tell me, oh, Southeast Asia is so toxic, bro. Yeah, every region is so toxic. Or don't tell me, oh, 4K Southeast Asia is actually 6K Europe. No, it's not. Or 4K Southeast Asia is 6K NA. No, it's not. It's the fucking same shit, man. Honestly. Stop fucking blaming everyone else. This is gonna be the last time I tell this guy this. He either gets it or he doesn't, right, guys? Hi, Snow. Try not to advertise here. See you later, Tin Jack. Okay, you used to watch a lot? Well, you don't nowadays. Calm. Well, I'll give it a try, man. Yeah, you just support yourself. Great. Have a great day, nerds. Yeah, I'll be here tomorrow, Snail Poop. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate your support. The fact is, many Divine players play in Archon/Legend bracket. Where did you get this fact from? Do I play Shadow Fiend? Yes, I do. Best hero? Spectre? Any last questions or comments before I go, guys? You know, that's such a common comment that I get, guys. Is like, hey, Bluespan, my team is shit and I deserve to be a higher FMR, you know? Every time I play carry, my supports don't ward and they feed. Every time I play support, my carries don't know how to farm and they feed. I swear to God, I deserve a higher MMR. I'm way better than these guys. No, you're not, man. No, you're not. See you later, JT. Tomorrow sounds good, Prajwal. Your best tank? Is this a word? Translated from Norwegian? Favorite professional player? Eternal Envy? Did I buy a battle pass? Yes. What happens to your teeth? What happens to your manners? Nice one, man. You're probably like, what, 14, 15 years old? My best tank? Bristleback is the best tank? Hold in mind, I'm 30 years old. Alright, I've had enough stupid questions for today, guys. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Hope you guys had fun today. I will be back tomorrow around this, not the same time, around 7 to 7:30 a.m. Pacific time. I'll see you later. Have a great day or great night, guys. Oh, and this one too. Why the fuck would I play in Southeast Asia if I live in Canada? God damn.